Flying used to cost a fortune. Only the wealthy could afford it. Then came a promise. Cheap tickets, flying for everyone. But cheap tickets came with a catch nobody told you about. Hidden fees, baggage charges, seat selection, booking fees. And the numbers tell the whole story, as most budget airlines' revenue comes from fees. You know the names: Spirit, Frontier, Allegiant, Ryanair. This is how it all fell apart. For most of aviation history, flying was expensive. A domestic flight in the 1970s could cost the equivalent of $600 in today's money. It was a luxury, something you saved up for. Then deregulation happened. In 1978, the US government opened up the airline industry to real competition for the first time, and a new kind of airline emerged. One that figured out you could strip a ticket down to almost nothing and charge for everything else separately. Southwest pioneered it. Ryanair perfected it in Europe. And by the 2000s, a new breed of carrier took it even further. Their model was simple. Advertise the lowest possible base fare, get people in the door, then charge for every single thing that used to be included: carry-on bags, seat selection, food and drinks. Spirit became the most extreme version of this. At its peak, Spirit's fees inflated the base fare by an average of 736% over the original advertised price. Here's how the machine actually worked, and it's more calculated than most people realize. When you search for a flight on Google, the results are ranked partly by price. The cheaper your base fare, the higher you appear. So ultra-low-cost airlines had a structural incentive to keep that number as low as possible, even if it bore almost no relationship to what you'd actually pay. This strategy is called unbundling, and the airline industry has turned it into an art form. In 2024, U.S. airlines collected over $5 billion in baggage fees alone, another $4.2 billion in seat selection fees. And it wasn't just Spirit doing it. A Senate investigation found that Frontier and Spirit paid out $26 million in incentives to gate agents to catch passengers violating bag policies, essentially rewarding employees for finding ways to charge customers more at the gate. Here's the part nobody talks about. The people most harmed by this model were the exact people it claimed to help. Ultra-cheap airlines marketed themselves as the democratizers of travel, flying for everyone, not just business-class passengers and frequent flyers. Regular people, working families, people who couldn't otherwise afford it. And those people did fly Spirit, in huge numbers. But they were also the least equipped to navigate a booking process designed to extract as much money as possible. Who didn't realize the carry-on fee at the gate was 3 times what it cost online? Who got hit with a $100 overweight bag fee on a trip they'd saved up for? So if the fee machine was working, why did Spirit go bankrupt? Twice. The answer is that the model had a fatal flaw baked into it from the beginning. It only works when the costs stay low enough that the cheap base fare still makes sense as a starting point. Jet fuel prices spiked, labor costs rose dramatically. Pilots became scarce after the pandemic, and salaries went up across the industry. Maintenance costs climbed. And Spirit, which had borrowed heavily to expand its fleet, suddenly found itself with massive debt it couldn't service. Spirit lost nearly $2.5 billion between 2020 and its first bankruptcy filing in late 2024. Then it filed again in August 2025. Then the fuel costs linked to geopolitical instability hit even harder. By May 2026, Spirit was done. Completely. 17,000 employees. Gone. But here's the thing that matters. The legacy carriers, Delta, United, American, had seen Spirit coming for years. They launched their own basic economy fares, stripped-down tickets, minimal inclusions, designed to match Spirit's advertised price. But, backed by a global route network, a loyalty program, and a brand people trusted, suddenly Spirit's only advantage, the price, wasn't even an advantage anymore. You could fly United for the same base fare and actually get a functioning airport experience. And here's where it gets bigger than Spirit. Southwest, for 50 years, the one airline that actually delivered on the no hidden fees promise, abandoned its free bag policy in May 2025. The last holdout fell, and with it, the last example that a fair model could work at scale. Now, every major U.S. airline charges for bags. Every major U.S. airline charges for seat selection. The unbundling that Spirit pioneered has spread upward through the entire industry. The fee model won. It just killed the airline that invented it. And the passengers? They're left in a market where the cheap option is gone. The mid-range option now charges like the cheap option used to, and the premium option keeps getting more expensive. So was ultra-cheap flying ever actually cheap? Sometimes. For the savvy traveler who packed light, booked early, knew every loophole, and got lucky with no delays or cancellations, yes. A genuine deal was possible. But for most people, the price was always incomplete. The fees were hidden 9 screens deep. The seats were designed to make you pay to escape them. The workers were squeezed to keep costs low enough that the model could survive another quarter. Ultra-cheap airlines didn't democratize flying. They rebranded discomfort as a deal. But until enough people stop booking on the advertised price alone, the industry has no reason to change. Because nothing is easier to sell than something that looks like a bargain.